on the KTLA 5 Morning News.
Good morning. I'm Lena Bovian, live here in the Hollywood Hills, where a home was burglarized overnight. The victim says he believes he was targeted. He's a well-known watch dealer. His interview coming up.
Good morning. I'm Frank Buckley. Moderna will seek emergency authorization of its COVID vaccine for younger children. Of details on this new development just ahead.
Good morning to you. I'm Christina Pascucci coming to you live from the Larchmont area. It is official as of today for LAUSD students and staff. No masks required indoors. We're going to talk about some of the conditions around that, though, coming up.
Good morning. I'm Trevor Shirley, live in Washington. Confirmation hearings continue today for Supreme Court nominee Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. I've got a full recap of where things stand coming up ahead.
Good morning. I'm Jessica Holmes, one of the world's top female athletes, announcing her retirement. Why she's calling it quits at just 25 years old.
Good morning. I'm Sam Rubin. New here at 10 o'clock. Another top athlete, Meta World Peace, competing in what seems like a celebrity edition of Survivor. It's more than that. He'll join us live to explain. Plus, behind the scenes on the return of the CW's Kung Fu series. We'll meet the stars coming up.
It's only 10 o'clock in the morning, but boy, those temperatures are already warming things up outside. It's going to be a hot one today when we reach into the upper 80s and even into the 90-degree mark across Southern California. 79 for the coastal, downtown 89, 92 degrees. We could have some record breakers right there. 86 Orange County inland, 88 Inland Empire, and the high deserts up to 81 degrees. Jessica, back to you.
Mark, thank you. We have new details about the armed robbery at a Hollywood Hills home, I should say, this morning. We talked to the victims who believe this was a targeted attack. KTLA's Alina Bovian live at the scene now with the latest. Alina, good morning.
Jessica, good morning. That's right. The victim says he's 100% convinced that he was targeted in this case. He's a very well-known watch dealer. He says he sells Rolexes, for example, that are worth about $50,000, $60,000, and he's got millions in inventory. Now, the thing is, he's very popular on social media. He puts all of this on display. He even has a YouTube channel, sort of like a reality show, where all this is very easy for someone to follow. Now, take a look. These are some of his pictures on his social media. He says, unfortunately, his big online presence made him a target in this case. The victim, whose name is Anthony Ferrer, recently moved to LA from Texas to open a high-end watch store here. He is currently renting the house here in the Hollywood Hills. The name of his business is Timepiece Gentleman. Online, you can see all of his inventory in the millions, he says. When the burglars got to his house this morning, it was around 1:15. They confronted him. They were specifically asking for the watches and a briefcase full of watches. He says it was around 1:30 when he finally called police. Once they left, he was asleep, however, initially, when all of a sudden he felt someone nudging him. He initially thought that it was his friend playing a prank. Well, it turns out it was the real deal. The suspects, 4 masked men, they pulled out their guns. They tied him up, demanding he show them where his watches are. He says he showed him some decoys because he's been in this business a long time and was prepared for something like this. He usually walks around with security during the day, but somehow last night he ended up leaving one of his doors open, and that's how he thinks the burglars got in. He did say, however, they got a small backpack with some jewelry, but not a lot of money.
Being in this business, I've heard this story a million times. It was just the first time I've ever really lived it. So it just multiple demands of where's the backpack, where's the briefcase. So they knew what they were looking for. And I showed them to a couple of decoys that we have set up around the place, and they zip tied my hands behind my back, and then they left out my patio door. Told me to wait about 5 minutes or they'd be back.
Now, the home here is a house that he is renting, and he says it does have surveillance cameras, but he is waiting for the actual owner of the house to give him access to the footage. Also, at this point, there is unfortunately no suspect information or suspect description. Now, back out here live, LAPD says once their officers got here early this morning, the suspects had fled, and they also do not have a vehicle description, but they're looking for witnesses, anyone who has any information to come forward. That's the very latest. I'm Lena Bobin reporting live in the Hollywood Hills, Ktla 5 News.
Alina, thank you. The drug maker Moderna says its COVID-19 vaccine works as effectively for children under 6 as it does for adults. The pharmaceutical company says 2 25 microgram doses for kids ages 6 months to 5 years old induced similar immune responses to its adult regimen. The 2 doses were given 28 days apart. Moderna says most side effects in the study were mild or moderate, more frequent after the second shot. Based on that data, Moderna will ask the USDA for emergency authorization of the drug for this age group in the next few weeks. Research has shown a combination of vaccines, boosters, and proper masking are the best ways to prevent serious illness, hospitalization, and death. Starting today, LAUSD will no longer require most students or staff to wear masks indoors. KTLA's Christina Pascucci live in LA's Larchmont Village neighborhood with the latest. Christina, good morning.
Hi, Frank. Good morning to you. We're at Van Ness Elementary with school board member Nick Melvoin, who's going to talk a little bit about this. It is official. This has been a long time coming, 2 years that teachers haven't been able to see the smiles on their students' faces in the class.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's a acknowledgement of how far we've come with our top of the class safety standards, and we still have a lot of safety standards, weekly testing and daily pass and our air filtration systems, the utilization of outdoor space. But you know, I was just inside this school, and it's exciting to see kids and teachers smiling faces for the first time in a while.
And